Well, I'm here with a gentleman who knows what it's like to play in the minor league system, and now you know what it's like to be an Educator of the Year. Ira Smith, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Now, I want to go back and talk about your Educator of the Year award that you received recently here on the Hill. But first, let's go back a little bit because it's interesting that you played minor league baseball. You were in the system for the major leagues as well, and you did that for quite a while, and then became an educator. And in sports, we often talk about how important it is to give back, and that's exactly what you're doing with your life now. Let's go back a little bit and just talk about baseball. How did you first get involved in the game of baseball?
Oh, wow. I just remember as a kid, back in the days when we were kids, we played three sports. It was basketball, it was football, it was baseball. And whatever the season was, that's what we played. Yeah. And I remember in the house when I was a kid, remember the old Mr. Potato Heads?
Of course.
We lost the parts, obviously, and we used the potato head as a baseball.
Wow.
Okay. And can't remember what we used as a bat, but I never forget my sister threw me a pitch and I hit the potato head through the window, and Mom went nuts. Yeah. So, but it started very, very early. I remember getting an exemption from the league, basically because of my age. I started playing when I was 7, and the leagues back then in Little League you couldn't play really until you were 9. But Mr. Kip, my first coach, absolutely loved me, and he got me on his team when I was 7 years old. So I started organized baseball at 7.
Now the process obviously goes on. How did somebody discover you? Did they find you? How does that work?
Well, it's interesting. When I was in high school, I played all 3 sports. The first time I was ever approached by a scout, I was in the 10th grade. The summer of my 10th grade year was American Legion baseball tournament, and a guy from the Mets walked up to me and said, "Hey, young man, I'm so-and-so from the Mets. Take this information, fill it out, send it in." And
what is that experience like, being in the 10th grade and having a scout from the Mets come up to you?
It was pretty awesome. I remember that day. I remember warming up for the game, and we were taking infield, outfield, and we weren't doing very well. And I remember our coach, Dave Smith, I love him. He walked us off the field because it was pregame warm-ups, and it was just awful. But we played a very good game. I had a good game that day. I remember I had a triple and 2 singles. The story behind that story is I took the information home. I gave it to my mother. She filled it out, and I said, "Hey, Mom, did you send that information back to the scout to the Mets?" And, size and height was always, you want to be 5'11", and even though I was 5'9", and I remember she put on the paper that I was 5'6", 145 pounds.
You're like, "Mom, you're killing me here."
Never heard from that scout again. So, so from that point on, I started getting colleges coming around, and the University of Maryland Eastern Shore was my best fit at the time. So I went there. I was freshman athlete of the year. I was all conference in the conference. I was best freshman baseball player in the conference for that year.
I have to ask you, of the 3 sports, did you like baseball the best? Or?
No, it was my least favorite.
Really?
My favorite sport to play was football. Okay. I loved football up until my senior year homecoming. I carried the ball, I think, was 32 times and got like 80 yards. Wow. So we can do the math. The average on that wasn't very good. So, and that's the last football game I played. I had no desire to play football anymore after that. Second favorite was basketball. Absolutely loved basketball. Okay. But I think as a teenager and heading into college, that we felt like the best opportunity for me was in baseball. So
you go into the minor leagues, and as we were just talking about, actually, in spring training, we see the difference between in the Dodgers and the Angels, the minor league side and the major league side, and it's everybody looking to come up from the minors to the majors. But it's such a different road. If you just talk about the journey, being on the buses and taking the trips, and it's a long haul. And how many years you did it for?
Yeah, I played minor league baseball for 15 years. I played it for 15 years, and I coached in minor league ball for 4 years. It is interesting. Even there's a difference in the minor league system. You play in rookie ball, and you're in Great Falls, Montana, and you have to travel, 15 hours to Salt Lake City at the time. And the more you move up the ladder in the minor leagues, the better the accommodations get, quote unquote. In AAA, at the time there were 3 leagues. There was the International American Association and the Pacific Coast League. So the travel wasn't as bad, and we did a lot of flying. So, we always used to say the biggest difference in AAA and the big leagues was basically the attendance and the pay.
Right.
And chartered flights, obviously.
Yeah,
So, but even you just go from the minor league side to the big league side in spring training. The spread is different. Minor league side is peanut butter and jelly and dry tuna fish. The other side is
Sushi.
exactly, and they fix gourmet breakfast and all those types of things. Unless you're with the Dodgers organization in spring training.
Yeah, they're great.
It's absolutely incredible.
It
The goal in spring training with the Dodgers was not to gain weight. You come to spring training to get into shape. With the Dodgers, they're like, hey man, don't eat yourself and eat too much and get overweight. So, but either way, it was an incredible journey. Some awesome people. It's given me the opportunity to be to travel in every single state in the nation, with the exception of Wyoming.
I was going to ask you, where did you like going the best?
Oh man.
That's hard.
I got to say some of my favorite cities was I had a great time in Bakersfield, California.
Wow.
I did.
Props to Bakersfield.
Props to Bakersfield. I had a good year in Bakersfield. One of my favorite people I've ever met in the game of baseball was she was like my host mom. Her name was Dorothy Hogue. Never forget, it was 1992. She was great. We kept in touch for a very long time. I haven't talked to her probably in 10 years, but just an incredible place.
What's interesting you bring that up is I know that the fan base there is pretty huge.
Yeah. It was a fun time. We probably got 1,500 fans a night, but they were loyal fans. I played the inaugural season in Rancho Cucamonga with the Quakes in '93, so that was incredible as well. Then you go in the Midwest. You have Wichita. I had fun playing in Wichita. I had a great time in Memphis. Vero Beach, so every city that I've ever, even in independent ball, I played in Sioux City, Iowa. I played in Lincoln, Nebraska. I've been to Winnipeg, Canada. Winnipeg was awesome. Winnipeg, Canada, you wouldn't think it was, but in the Northern League at the time, it was the best. It was like the Yankees of the Northern League. So
definitely full of life experience. So later in life, when you decide you want to be an educator, it's interesting to me because again, sports is about giving back. You have to give back at some point, and not only have you given back, but they voted you Educator of the Year at Country Day, and we were there that night. When you received your award. Kids must love you, and I'm curious, do you share stories with them about your experiences?
You know what? I do not talk a lot about my baseball career.
Okay.
I don't. I just, I'd much rather be admired or looked up to by those kids because of who I am. Okay. So if they ask, of course. I had a kid yesterday. Oh, Mr. Smith, I didn't know you played baseball. I was awful at baseball. I didn't play.
So you work in the athletic department, is that right?
I am the athletic director there. Okay. Yeah. So I, teach physical education, coach sports after school. I coach a soccer team there, and I have to say this about our soccer team. 10 years at Country Day School, we've competed for 10 championships, 10 straight champions, and we've won 7 of the last 10. So right now I'm coaching the boys basketball team as well.
I have to ask you, what is the secret to your success?
Good players.
Okay. Good players and good coaches, huh?
Good players. All good players. So.
All right. Before we let you go, I have to ask you, I'm still a baseball fan, Dodgers, Angels. Who do you support?
I have to love the team that gave me my first opportunity. So I bleed Dodger blue.
Okay, then we're going to have to get you out to a Dodger game this season. What do you think?
That'd be great. Yeah. My son loves any sporting event. For me, it's like, going to a baseball game, as the next player. But I would love that. That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
We'll get you out there. All right, Ira Smith, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks.